Hello everyone, and welcome back to Armoured Warfare, or Armoured Warfare Reviews, or Reviews Armoured Warfare, or Wombat, of MBT's Armoured Warfare Reviews, or Reviews of Wombat Armoured Warfare Reviews. Of course, this is me, Spitfire, and today we're going to have a look at the T-80U. Now, the T-80 series started off as a project to improve or build a new vehicle upon the T-64. Now, the T-64A was the best tank in its time in the world, which started off with a 115mm gun that the T-62 had, but later, about 3 or 4 years later, they went with the iconic 125mm 2A46 that is still present in upgraded forms on Russian, Ukrainian, Czechoslovakia, Chinese, etc. tanks later in the world. Now, the T-64A, well, the T-64 to the T-64A, then to the T-64B, T-64BV, etc., etc., etc. Now, while these are very good vehicles, they weren't quite the edge over the West as the Soviets wanted, and eventual tanks like the Challenger 1, Leopard 2, and M1, M1A1 vehicles ended up proving superior to the T-64 series. Now, the T-80, which we have all the way down here at Tier 5, isn't in fact the T-80. The original T-80 was quite frankly, dog shit. It wasn't very good. It was a mess between a T-64A turret, which by then we were already on the T-64B, and an actual T-80 hull. There were various problems, a lot of shit didn't work, and the gas turbine engine was having issues. But the definitive version of the T-80, when it started to come out, was the T-80A, which is in fact the base version we get of the T-80B in game, the stock armor. This is basically a T-80A. Then the T-80B came around, which introduced ERA missile launchers, such as the Cobra to it, as well as better sights, and of course explosive reactive armor. Then we had the T-64BV, which had a better gun. Then eventually we came to the T-80U, which is here at Tier 7 in Armoured Warfare. This at the time of its conception was the best and most powerful tank in the world, but with lots of things that other vehicles didn't have. Even the late war T-72s, well, even the late Cold War T-72s didn't have, such as thermal sights, excellent ballistic computers, good ERA protection, and a hard-hitting gun, as well as the gas turbine engine, making it the fastest MBT in the world at the time. That, unfortunately, the T-80U was later superseded by vehicles like the Challenger 2, the M1A2 with the uranium rounds, I believe, and the Leopard 2A5. Hence why it's a Tier 7 in the game. Now, that's all the good points for the T-80. The T-80s, the T-72s, and the T-64s, unlike its Western counterparts, all had a 3-man crew. This was because the vehicles had an autoloader. The autoloader, of course, meant that they had one less crew, which gave a benefit as it allowed the tanks to be smaller and had less weight, with the T-80U weighing something like 46-47 tons compared to the 60 to 70 plus tons of the later NATO main battle tanks. Unfortunately, this meant that 3-man, the commander, would have to, if they wanted to engage infantry, this meant that the commander would have to mount the turret and would have to get out the turret and man the machine gun. This meant that when the commander was away, especially if he was a platoon or company commander, this meant there were only 3 people to service and maintain the tank, while NATO tanks would of course have 3. Maintenance being an issue, the gas turbine engines of the T-80s, while solved the gas turbine issues that the Americans had, they were incredibly maintenance and fuel hungry. We're talking about ridiculously fast tanks, but also a ridiculous amount of fuel consumption, a ridiculous amount of engine fires, which were proven in Chechnya, where former Soviet soldiers knew of the T-80's weak points, and so they hit it in the engine deck and started to burn the tanks out. The T-80s, of course, the Russian tanks being so small, they didn't have proper blow-up panels either, meaning the ammo rack in the hull was very likely to cook the turret off. Now, I do firmly believe that in Chechnya, the main battle tanks of any countries would have been destroyed. There isn't a magical thing in which all countries make the same type of steel and then another country's steel is magically better. No. It was the tactics, the very stupid tactics that brought the T-80s down, but it was also due to several design flaws of the vehicles as well, as pointed above, such as the gas turbine engine causing fires and poor ammo rack placement. This, however, didn't mean that T-80U was a bad tank. It was the most formidable Soviet tank of the Cold War, but in the end it was later superseded because by the T-90. The Russians later figured out they could build 12 T-72s for the price of 4 or 3 T-80s, and of course the Soviet Union was all about numbers and being able to overwhelm their enemies in a combined armed assault. And with the inventions of later missiles, ERA plates and stuff, the T-80U started to lose its edge. The T-72B later having ERA that could happily block a Hellfire round, which is why NATO developed depleted uranium rounds. So, in armoured warfare, the T-80U is a Tier 7 MBT and the last vehicle currently of the T-80 series. It shares the same spot with the T-90, which is more heavily armoured, but the T-80 has... well, I think it is both. The T-90 is more heavily armoured, but the T-80U is way faster. It is the epitome of the glass cannon T-80 line, with relatively poor weak spots such as the lower plate and the turret ring, as well as the fact that the mantle is currently bugged, so there you can hit the mantle and penetrate it for full damage. However, like I said, the T-80U is ridiculously fast. Its engine allowing it to accelerate in 4.888 seconds. This is compared to the M1A1, which is slower. The T-90, which is vastly slower. The Type 98, vastly slower. The Leopard 2, much slower, and the Challenger 1. So the T-80Us function as glass cannons. They are peekaboo tanks. You peek in behind cover, you slap someone in the face, and then you get the fuck out of there. At the moment, ammo choices with heat and anti-tank missiles being fucking useless in the game. 125mm rounds, which are basically guaranteed damage versus anything. You are not going to hit anything for less than 500 damage. And some high explosive rounds as well for those caps or for that annoying AFV driver. Consumable wise, since this is a tank I like very much, I've taken surplus part crates, first aid cabinet, and of course an automatic fire extinguisher. This is because at this tier, when people shoot you in the back, it's very likely to cause a fire. So we've got the automatic fire extinguisher. You could, however, choose synthetic engine fuel to go absolutely nuts, but I prefer the fire extinguisher. Protein bars, I wouldn't bother. Well, energy drinks I wouldn't really bother, to be honest, as well as a first rebuild kit for that PvE stuff. Now, gun-wise, I have chosen a accuracy fit, which is advanced muzzle reference system, which gives a minimum accuracy, so the aiming circle is decreased by 20%. Improved telescopic lenses, since you do stop a lot in a T-80 to aim, so I thought I might as well use the improved telescopic lenses. However, you could, however, go with improved spool liner, augmented optics, or an improved Pioneer repair kit, and of course an improved gun breech given a reload time of 7.84 seconds. The armor on the tank is relatively alright. People are going to bounce off the turret, they're going to bounce off the hull, and the tank is relatively small to the ground, meaning that even though you do have relatively large weak spots, people can still sometimes bounce. However, of course, the sides and the rear are complete paper. So all of this means that in the T-80U, you must be Muhammad Ali versus a heavyweight boxer. You need to dance around people, you need to get out of corners, you need to shoot them, you need to use your relatively alright aiming time of 1.75 seconds. And you have quite a high damage per minute as well, compared to the other vehicles at least. So you need to use all of the traits of the fast T-80 to be able to dance around people. And we're going to see it in this replay. Now, I am playing with Tau Maxim and Giklab. Tau is in the Challenger 1 and Giklab is in the Stingray 2. There are some tier rates here, but none of them are that really much of a concern. Of course, there are some opposite numbers in the T-80s over there, and of course that is one unfortunate swing fire. We're on River Point and we are starting on the north side, I believe. Now you will have noticed that my T80's model is, well, the base paint is changed. That's because I changed the base paint. Also, as a note from the devs, this is not the final T80U model we're getting. We are getting a more accurate model of it at tier 7, so this model will be replaced. We should also be getting the Commander aerials, so the tank doesn't look bored. So, I'm going to do what most vehicles do. Well, what most MBTs go. I'm going to do all the way down there to, which I just pinged it on the map, and you can see the T80U is already very, very, very fast. You can see, pretty much leaving all of the other MBTs in the dust. However, this doesn't really mean much considering we're about to go down the slope, and that will of course increase everybody else's top speed to the maximum. Now, if it wasn't for the T90A being closer to the spawn, I would have got there before he would, but you know what, it doesn't matter. Now, this tank does serve very well in a in a hold down scenario, despite the fact it has limited, what's the term? Gun depression. Like I said, its small size and relatively punchy gun means you can hop in and out of cover. Of course, there's a Merkava Challenger over there and everything. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to aim for that Type 90 over there. And to be honest, I never knew that would pen, but at the time I decided, hey, fuck it, why not? So first vehicle over there is a Challenger and a Merkava. We're going to pen that Merkava's turret ring. And that Type 90 butchered our armor pretty quickly, but of course we were showing our side armor to him. Which of course, you always take that side armor shot. Just going to dance around cover here, and you see how low to the ground this thing is. Pretty much the lowest to the ground of any other vehicle here. So we're going to keep walking around here. Got Talon and Challenger 1 backing me up. And we're going to screw up our shot there because a teammate backed into me. Which is that fucking T98 over there. But it doesn't matter. We can do this. We can pull this off. As you can see, we penetrated his turret there. I believe it was the turret roof. So around this area, straight in. Although I wouldn't recommend that area, but if you gotta shoot it, you gotta shoot it. Shot on the turret ring on that guy over there, and of course now we're just going to detrap this T80. At the moment, given the how long the track repairs take, this means that once you trap someone like that, they're done for. Unless they've got a repair kit and they can get themselves out of the way, they're fucking dead. So we're on 3,200 damage right now. I would class that as a good game. Merkava being a pretty tough tank to face, but oh well, we'll get it. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to start moving up on these guys. That Challenger 1 over there is feeling quite sorry for himself. First thing we're going to do there is we are going to shoot the Merkava or the Challenger 1. So that guy, the Challenger 1 at the moment, has some pretty bug side armor, so most of it is. So at the moment, the Challenger 1 is in some cases harder to penetrate from the side than from the front. Leopard 2A4 and Merkava over there, but to be honest, they don't really pose a problem there. They're done for now. The high alpha damage of the T80 means that I can happily outdamage everyone here except for that T90A. But since I'm closer, of course that means I can aim at his weak spots more. Misplaced shot into the turret ring there. And the missile just went straight down into the ground. But it doesn't really matter at this point. This guy knows the game's over for him. Using the quick acceleration of the T80 there to get behind him, and we're now going to happily play on everyone else. Now, this is where it got amusing, because I found a bot. Now tell me that this isn't bot-like behaviour. Because nobody in their same eye would be using heat right now. I was like, what the fuck is this? Is this a bot? I was like, yeah, it's a bot. So we came across the bot. And we killed said bot. knowing that I can outdamage, well, I can outdo Taos repair time here, but I decide to move on anyway, because that M8 Buford came up. So, Taos found a AFK Ariete, who isn't a bot this time. See, relatively high alpha damage there, going in. And now we're at 7,425 damage, which is a very good game, actually. And now everyone's just got to jump on the dragon. I don't think he was expecting that to happen, but oh well, sucks to be him, right? Got a high alpha shot into him, 577 damage, and there we go. This replay pretty much just shows that if you use the T80 right, backing in and out of cover, using that acceleration and using the powerful gun, you can pretty much murder people pretty quickly, and murder people pretty quickly we did. Final notes to say for the T80 is that while this is a review, this doesn't mean you should play the tank exactly like I should. There are plenty better MBT drivers out there than me. Might be worth listening to them more than me, but I can only give you a quick rundown of the vehicle. Hopefully this will be able to run part as a later line, so finding up the T80U doesn't mean that you're basically useless. Well, that you basically can't grind up with other people, because the T80U at the moment leads nowhere, as you can see in Shiskin's line. But anyway, everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. And to be honest, I would like to see a lot more T80Us out there. So, take care from me, take care of yourselves, and see you all next time. Bye.